Hello and welcome to Blessed Man Meditations. My name is Andy. Today we're going to begin a new series in a new book. If you have found value in any of my previous work, would you consider supporting my ministry by purchasing my published work? It is this volume here that you see it left, the first 30 chapters of the book of Psalms. Today's video is the first through this book, More Than a Carpenter by Josh McDowell. These are the different chapters in the book, and this first session is going to cover Chapter 1, McDowell's story. It begins by this quote from Thomas Aquinas: "There is within every soul a thirst for happiness and meaning." McDowell begins talking about how his life lacked the meaning that he sought to bring it. He first noticed this missing meaning as a teenager. He began to ask three prominent questions. The first question was, who am I? The second question is, why am I here? And the third question is, where am I going? So who am I, why am I here, and where am I going? So to answer these questions, he sought to find meaning through religion. He grew up surrounded by religious people. He says he got into church 150%. But this did not help him find the answers to the three questions. When he became religious, he felt worse about those questions rather than beginning to feel better about them. So he chucked religion. So when religion didn't give him the answer to the questions that he had hoped to find, he began to find the answers to his questions. He tried to find the answers to his questions through education. To do so, he enrolled in a university, and while he was searching for the answers to his questions, he was harassing his professors for the answers to those questions, but he didn't get help from them either. Faculty members and fellow students had just as many problems, frustrations, and unanswered questions as he did. So then he tried to find the answers to his questions through something called prestige, which is respect and admiration that we get because of success or some important position. So he decided he'd find a noble cause to dedicate himself to. Then he could become popular on his campus, and perhaps this would give him what he felt was missing. So initially, he appeared to find success in this pursuit. He got elected to various student offices, but eventually the thrill of prestige wore off. As he continued to live for the world, he sensed he had no control or direction over his life. About this time, he noticed a small group of 8 students and 2 faculty members who seemed different from everyone else. This small group seemed different from everyone else in that they had convictions. They were disgustingly happy, as he puts it, and appeared to possess an inner source of joy. That small group seemed to genuinely love others inside their group as well as others outside the group. They demonstrated this love that they had for each other in their group and for those outside their group in tangible ways. So, McDowell thought he'd make friends with these intriguing people. When he first made friends with these intriguing people, their conversation didn't immediately turn to the things of God. But whenever it did, McDowell would put up a front. Initially, McDowell objected that Christianity is for unthinking weaklings and not intellectuals. Many skeptics today will say something similar, that Christianity is for people who need a crutch. So McDowell asked a lady in this group why those in the group were so different from all the other students and faculty members on the campus. What made them stand out, be distinct from everybody else? The lady whom McDowell asked responded that the reason that she and the others who were in the group was different, the reason they were different is because of the Lord Jesus Christ. McDowell initially objected, and he equated Christ with religion. But the lady with whom McDowell had this conversation pointed out the important difference that religion is humans trying to work their way to God, whereas Christianity is God coming to humans working through Jesus Christ. After hearing McDowell's objections, the group members challenged McDowell to examine Christ's claims. The claims are that Christ is God's Son, that Christ inhabited a real human body, that Christ lived among real people, that Christ died, was buried, and rose again, and that Christ continues to change people's lives to this day. After hearing this, McDowell was convinced that Christianity would not stand up to evidence. McDowell at the time was a pre-law student, and he thought he knew something about the nature of evidence. He thought that if he could uncover indisputable evidence for the Bible's historical unreliability, that Christianity would crumble as a fantasy made up by wishful religious dreamers. McDowell took up this challenge seriously, even dropping out of school to study in Europe. While he was studying the truths about Christianity, he found abundant evidence. McDowell said if he were to remain intellectually honest, he would have to admit that the Old and New Testament documents were the most reliable writings in all of antiquity. And if the Old and New Testaments were reliable, then what about this man Jesus? Previously, he had dismissed this man Jesus as a mere carpenter in an out-of-the-way town in a tiny, oppressed country. He had dismissed this man Jesus as a man who had been caught up in his own visions of grandeur. So what was he to do about this man Jesus? Well, McDowell came to the realization that Christians come to that he had to admit that Jesus was more than just a carpenter. He was more than a carpenter, the title of the book, as he claimed to be. Christ claimed to be the Son of God, the Messiah. So McDowell's investigation into the evidence for the claims of Christianity provided the answers to his three questions. The question of who am I, why am I here, and where am I going? The answers to these questions can be found in a biblical worldview. So that concludes part 1 of the tour through More Than a Carpenter. Chapter 2 discusses what makes Jesus so different. So thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please consider supporting this ministry by purchasing my published work, the 30-chapter volume in the Book of Psalms, and I hope you have a blessed rest of your day.